Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We had a Christmas break. I've got beer. Milton's on some guy's nut juice. Bryn's apparently a cocoon now.
I've got a hot chocolate and a blanket because I thought December was winter and I forgot January's proper winter.
Wait till you meet February, mate.
Nah, by that point you're used to him.
So all the boys are back. Nobody quit, which is good news.
Nope.
Probably means we all like doing this or some shit. I've done the first swear of the season. Go me.
Well done.
Didn't take long.
It never takes long. We would like to remind people this is not a show for young children who are into cars. This is a show for like 18 plus, based on some of the stuff we say.
Children who are into cars.
Grown children that are
Yeah.
legally allowed
Big,
to
big
drink.
children.
Yeah. So anyway, we're back. We've got some cool stuff planned this season. So a couple of changes. Won't be every week. Will be every 2 weeks because we want to get out and do more stuff with you guys. We're going to have a really cool announcement in regards to sponsorship of something later in the year. We'll be revealing
And it
that.
doesn't even need you to get your buttholes out.
Doesn't. It's not. No, it's not an OnlyFans game, is it, Bryn?
Even though we've got some great pictures already stored in line.
Yes, we have, Milton. We will be setting up the OnlyFans for Milton soon. You should probably join if you like cucumbers and Milton in lederhosen.
Drift cars are expensive, man.
Fun fact, Milton left that cucumber in his car for about 6 months before remembering it was there.
It's not quite 6 months, but it was. Luckily, the cellophane it come in was sealed because it was just mush.
Everybody loves soggy cucumber mills.
It was disgusting.
So, the topic for this week, we're going to open with something actually pretty important in your builds that for some reason we didn't touch on in a whole 52 episodes last season. Track safety. So the first important thing about track safety is don't leave a mouldy cucumber in your car. Do not want to get hit by a mouldy cucumber during an off.
Yeah, just barreling towards the barriers and just a pickle Rick coming and hitting you in the face.
So I think the first bit of moderate track safety that everybody does, even if they've got a street car, to look a little bit cool and get some scene points, is dumping some harnesses.
You've got to be careful with that with standard seats.
Yeah, I was going to say, do not fit harnesses with standard seats.
This is the right
Unless
reaction, boys.
Unless they're the new, like, if you've got like a Fiesta ST and they've got like a half bucket seat already. You
You can get stuff like Porsches that already have the relevant holes as per Fiat. Because the point is, you put your harnesses on, and if you don't have anything like this to keep them in place, if you have a crash, they can easily just slip off your shoulders, and then you hit windscreen anyway.
You've got to be careful when fitting them with the angle from behind, because you could end up submarining. It's called. You break your back.
In my defence, at the same time, I did fit the bucket seats from a Lotus Exige to the MX-5.
But did you also fit a roll bar?
Shut up.
Because the other thing you don't want to do is have your lovely rigid bucket seat and your lovely harness and then find that now your face is the crumple zone when you flip the car upside down.
I, as someone who doesn't go on track very often, have accepted certain things about my build, Bryn. And that is, if I have crashed bad enough to be upside down, I don't deserve to be driving anymore and have opted that it should kill me.
And you don't want to see the consequences, so you'd rather die.
Yeah, because if I write off the MX-5, I'm giving up on life, right?
Yeah.
But equally, you shouldn't fit a roll bar without harnesses and bucket seats, because you can really easily hit your head on a roll bar.
Yep.
Half roll cage is slightly different, but yeah.
Yeah, there are caveats to all of this, but the reality is you should really fit all three of them together.
In fairness, I owe Claire 4 that came on our mental health episode and our events episode last season, and will probably be back at some point this season for whatever we drag her into, some monies for a Cusco roll cage that she's sat on.
Why she sat on it? That sounds uncomfortable.
I mean,
Well, actually, the only person that I know of...
That's the picture for OnlyFans.
In fairness, the only person I know of that's ever actually sat on that roll cage is me when I got launched off the back of the car and did my knee in.
That's another bit of track safety.
Another point of track safety: be in the car.
Yeah.
Be in the car and firmly attached.
Yeah, exactly.
I always the point is when you're going on track, make sure your car is empty. If you've not got bottles and bags and things, because if you've got windows open and you've got a carry bag in, it could get flustered up and you could.
You don't want a full Tokyo Drift slow crash montage.
It's not just that. I got in. There was a guy at Santa Pod once, and I offered to help teach him a little bit. Jumped in his car and immediately noticed there was wheels sat on the back seat, and I'm like, no, you've got to take them out. Like, especially when you're drifting, like you're throwing the car from angle to angle, and shit will roll across the car.
Santa, I did do one session at Bedford Autodrome grip racing with the boot full of the wooden shocks that I use.
But that's
again,
I didn't notice it, and then I was like, they should have probably moved. And I was on full hard as well.
On a different note, though, Mills, that is in an MX-5 where at least in the boot is contained to the boot.
Yeah,
kind of, yeah.
Whereas if you do like in the boot in a stripped out Seat Ibiza, it's not in the boot anymore. It's in the cockpit with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So roll cage is a definite must. I think if you're gonna go
a roll bar at the very least.
Roll bars in convertibles and half cages in most other things.
Yeah.
Some degree of rollover protection.
That's the word, rollover.
Unless you've accepted certain things and you're old and you've already lived a good life like me. Harness with a bucket seat. If you are a fat lad like myself and struggle to fit in most sizes of normal bucket seats that will fit in your tiny soft top car, Lotus Exige seats fit, and they take fat people. And if you get the ones with a harness hole, you can use them with a harness. What's that little chuckle about, Bryn? I am literally twice the width of Bryn on the screen, and it's probably not a perspective thing with our cameras.
No.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I've got a seat that takes a 32-inch waist maximum.
I cannot fit in Bryn's
same.
car. I am about 8 inches too big for Bryn.
I fit Bryn's car, but only just. Although it's been Christmas since then, so I probably don't anymore.
I actually bought it off Milton purely on the logic that Milton went, it fits me great. And I was like, sick!
And it does. It's probably so comfortable, isn't it?
No seats are comfortable for me.
Right?
No seats.
Yeah, bucket seats in general aren't comfy.
You're misproportioned though, aren't you? You're all upsy-daisy.
My back doesn't work. It doesn't matter what I sit in, I'm going to be uncomfortable.
Sam, my Sparko Rev's really comfortable. Even after 7 hours of drift taxiing, I'm broken, but not back or bum broken.
There you go, endurance approved.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so right, so airbags in or airbags out?
Depends.
What's an airbag, Bam?
Yeah, what's a
it fully
Those
depends.
things that my cars are meant to have and don't.
If you've just fitted bucket seats and harnesses, remove your airbags.
Or turn them off.
Or turn them off, either or.
If your car's modern enough to have airbags, you can turn them off.
Yeah. But before doing any of that, I would put a securely fitted fire extinguisher in the car somewhere.
Like you can reach.
Reach from the driver's seat.
Mine is
with your
down.
harness undone though, because
flip the harness, grab your
because if you're in a fire, you're not going to be going, I better keep my seatbelt on for this one.
Yeah, because the reality is if you can get to a fire quick enough with a small extinguisher, then
Save your car.
You might save your car. However, if your small extinguisher is not enough, it's too late.
Yeah, I mean mine's bolted to the seat rails in the passenger seat, so I can quickly.
I think that's where most of them. Any time I've ever fitted one, it's under the passenger seat in the front.
I met a guy once who weirdly had it like up here, like but properly well mounted to the top of the windscreen. But
yeah, they're a bit sketchy.
I'm not sure I want weight that high.
Yeah, if you do have a nice big crash, that's a really good way to get it in the face by a fire extinguisher.
By a 2 kilo metal
which
canister.
someone I went to school with can confirm. hurts.
I mean, in a perfect world, you have one plumbed in and have a separate system for your engine bay and your interior.
What? Go on, say it, Brent. I'm ready.
I remember having a conversation with Alex Law about plumbed-in fire extinguishers and how much he really hated them because the rules of the BDC required there to be one pointed directly at your crotch.
Really?
I thought
there's a driver one that was just like right pointed at his bollocks.
So really didn't want to.
I imagine that's cold. That's real cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than really hot fire though.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I've
also,
got to say, on the side of fires, fireproof clothing, of any kind, like anything.
Yeah, a hoodie from our shop won't cut it in this particular case.
No, but they're good to wear in the pits, so buy one now.
And a good example is if you go and look at Romain Grosjean's crash from Formula One 2020, end of 2020.
Yeah.
All of his garments, except for his gloves and his I think it was just his gloves actually, were rated in fire for 20 seconds, except his gloves that were rated for 10 seconds. Go and look at his hands compared to the rest of his body. The only place he sustained burns were his hands.
Go look at a naked man's body.
It's for everything else saved him, basically. Otherwise, he'd have burns everywhere.
I mean, even without fireproof stuff, like just having your skin covered, that's why you've got to wear long trousers and long sleeves on track, is because a lick of flame coming past your naked skin is going to give you burns. If you've got anything between you and a fire, it will help.
Yeah.
And don't do what I do, which is like compulsively roll your fucking sleeves up the whole time and then get back home and go, oh, that was my arm's dead if that had been a fire.
The flip side of that is if you've got long sleeves on and debris comes towards you, it will offer you some degree of protection from sharp objects.
Yeah. Not if they're rolled up, like I also compulsively do.
Like you've done now.
Yeah. But how else am I going to show off my cool tattoos at the track melts?
It's one of the reasons I started buying long sleeve t-shirts, because on hot summer days you can still have your arms covered but without the need to wear a hoodie.
Which reminds me, while Milton has said about the hoodies, they're currently not on the website because we have changed the manufacturer of the hoodies for a more premium hoodie.
Nice.
They are significantly better quality and warmer. Can confirm the samples just behind me.
Just in time for winter.
Yeah, just in time.
Wait a minute.
Fully winter.
Yeah.
It was -2 this morning.
It was not minus. I've not left the house all day, so I can't really comment.
Yes, Bam. It was -2 this morning. I have left the house. Actually, it was horrible.
No, I have left the house. I left the house to put a new wheel centre cap in the NR4s because I lost that one at the end of last season, if you remember.
And to get beer.
No, the beer was already in.
And as you went out there to put the centre cap on, did you think, ooh, that's really cold?
No. But I did go outside in my bare feet and think, it feels a bit damp.
Rolling back on topic.
Back on topic, yeah. So
make sure you've done... If you're in a stock car...
I think we've missed a fairly obvious one here, right? And that is... When you get started, get a decent helmet.
He says to 3 people that don't have decent helmets.
Well, it depends what you find as... my Sparko Club X1 is a decent-ish helmet. It is not a 20 quid eBay special that is going to crack
rolling around
second year.
I'm rolling around in a 30 quid Halford special.
Okay.
From how old, Matt, is your 30 quid Halford special?
How long have I been drifting?
Yes, exactly.
Don't ask. Where'd you see the date on them?
The only reason I bought it's also a motorbike helmet. But from what I can tell, the only difference between motorsport helmets and motorbike helmets are the fire protection.
I mean,
between an MX-5.
I mean, you're willing to accept certain things, aren't you? Like that you might die if your car goes upside down.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
thing is,
I only ever drift the MX-5 with no roof, so it's not like I'm going to struggle to get out of the car.
With a
You
car
would if
helmet, it's
you were
a bit different.
unconscious, though.
Yeah, true.
Because with a
I've
bike
probably got
helmet,
bigger problems at that point.
you've got to be careful of. You need to protect yourself from headbutting things, as I found out. But in a car, the only thing you're more likely to hit is actually something in the car when you're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
I rate that as an entry level helmet. I rate the
Yeah.
Sparko Club as a good entry.
That's the one
level
I've
helmet.
got. I need to get a new one though. It is 2014. I've had that since.
The other thing is if you have any kind of helmet, doesn't matter what it is, and you drop it, that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
Can't use it again.
Yeah, that's how that works.
You shouldn't use it again.
Correct answer. You're willing to accept certain things.
That's gonna
Like-
be the
Like, that's the coolest looking helmet I've ever seen, and I've never seen another one since. So that helmet will be with me until I die. Probably wearing that helmet because it's not adequate protection anymore.
To be fair, you make a good point. I hadn't actually thought about replacing my helmet at all until you mentioned it. It's like, actually, yeah, it's
Am I?
probably getting
Wait,
on
What is
to
the
wait a
8
minute.
to
Is
8 years old.
Is the certified Mexican the only one who actually follows proper helmet rules and replaces his helmet like every 5 years?
Yeah, so what? You're like, oh, no. It's real important, guys. Real important. Wear a helmet. Protect your head. Unless you're upside down, in which case, death.
But in my
Difference
defense,
is I'm fat enough with a strong enough neck to be my own roll cage.
in my defense, I haven't driven properly other than one day where I didn't need a helmet for 2.5 years. So when I last wore my helmet, it was only 5.5 years old.
Last time I wore my helmet, I was in Mexico doing stupid shit. It wasn't even at a track.
Speaking of helmets, the other thing I would advise everybody gets, if they can afford it, because I know it's expensive, is hands.
No.
Yeah, that's.
If you
does,
watch
yeah.
an onboard crash with hands and without, you would get one.
The rally one is the one where they go into the ditch. The
Either
driver,
way,
the driver didn't have it, and the co-driver did. You see the driver's neck just go.
If you don't want whiplash, get hands. It's as
If you-
simple as that.
If you like whiplash because you're a pervert, don't get hands.
No, this is different. It's different level of pain.
But it's that technology has come on to such a degree that even BDC has mandated it.
I mean, it's fair.
Which is, but that's because the speeds we're getting in BDC now. You're looking 80, 90 miles, 100 miles an hour entry speeds towards walls, and tire walls and stuff. Will grab your car and then you'll flick you around, which is a lot of pressure on your neck.
But even then, yeah, you have any sort of impact, and you at those speeds, especially, you're getting whiplash.
It's true. I think the other one is like so my kind of person essentials is long sleeve tops because I don't go to any track days that mandate that I have to wear a fire suit. So everything long sleeved. I've got my gloves, I've got my boots, I've got my hat, my helmet, my hat. Just a baseball cap and I'm away. No, I've got my helmet. And that's for the kind of track days I do. That and my harness and everything is kind of all I need. And the boots are an interesting thing because normally I'll drive in thin-soled trainers, but if I'm on track, I just want to feel the pedals a bit better. And it's the thinner the sole. I genuinely, when I lived in the States, would drive around, when I was doing off-road in the Wrangler, would just drive around barefoot with my boots in the passenger footwell. And I could feel exactly what I was doing on the pedals.
Whereas I find the opposite. I can't wear little pansy racing boots. They feel really weird. Big, nice, thick skate shoes for me, please.
They feel weird. I'll admit, they feel weird walking around in them because you can feel everything. But I've got so used to just walking around in my barefoot outside. Like, if it wasn't frowned upon to not wear trainers about 90% of the time, I wouldn't wear shoes or socks. I'd just be out being like all barefoot and hobbit in the world.
That's why you like the country.
I do. I like living in the middle of nowhere. People tend not to see your shoeless feet in long grass. But I get where you're coming from, Bryn, but I kind of think race boots I think they're a good idea. You don't. So
I think they're a good idea purely for fire safety. Because they've all got fire rating of some degree. And if a fire is going to break out in your car, it's probably along the firewall where your feet sit.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
But
unless it's the fuel cell behind you, then you got bigger problems.
Yeah. And on that note, Bryn should probably be slightly concerned about his feet because he can't really afford to be much shorter.
Yeah.
I've got a mental image of Bryn walking around on two little stumps now.
God.
It's all right. If you have to replace his feet with false ones, you can just print longer ones.
Yeah, and if I had to replace my feet with false feet, it would be like wearing extra thick skate shoes, so I'd be even faster.
Faster.
The less I can feel, the better.
I've got to admit, for my
there's
gloves,
an innuendo there.
For my gloves, though, I use motocross gloves.
Yeah. Any kind of I like using gloves for drifting, mainly because you can still hold the wheel, but you're not going to get burns there. So you're not like going you can.
I had that when I took the RX-8 out the other week. I completely forgot to take my gloves with me, and I had a blister on one of my fingers for the end of the day because you're grabbing the wheel so much,
especially in a stock car.
Yeah.
Once again, I disagree with everyone, and I have a few pairs of gloves, and I try and wear them, and I really hate them, and ultimately end up taking them off. The only pair of gloves that I can stand wearing and do manage to wear on track are my 10-year-old mountain bike gloves, which have worn holes in them. And that's great because there's holes in them, so I can feel the wheel.
I'll tell you what, Brent, I'll dig out my spare pair of fist gloves, because they're the closest thing I've ever had to cycling gloves for driving my cars.
Why don't I just wear cycling gloves?
You could do, but...
That's what I do.
I've
got a really nice pair of Alpine Stars as well, and I absolutely hate them. Utterly hate them.
My next pair of racing gloves, I need to get the ones that are the stitchings on the outside of the fingers. That's much more comfortable.
Yeah. That's not a good one. Also, another safety one that we haven't mentioned, and is one that you wouldn't necessarily think of, is windows. You obviously, if you're a serious track person, you can put little lightweight Perspex windows in.
What about Linux?
They don't shatter. What? Sorry.
What about Linux?
Sorry, that's an operating system.
You said Windows.
Oh, wow, that was...
He was trying to
We're on the same joke, but not on the same joke.
IT joke.
I'm so glad you spoke. But something that's mandated in some of the drift championships, certainly, but I hadn't come across before, is if you have glass windows in your car because you don't want to replace them with Perspex, you can actually put film on the inside of them, like a tint film, but completely clear. And the idea of that is if you get in a big smash, instead of the window shattering and coming into the car, it stays in one really cracked piece.
But
it's basically laminating your side windows like your windscreen.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
After the fact.
That happened with Danny Grande and someone, didn't it?
No, he didn't have his window film.
Yeah, proper shattered. When his I think the guy's wing went into his window, wasn't it?
Nice.
Wing go into his window.
Yeah, it was like door and door round Teesside top bank. And they just kept going though.
Well, there's another one for you. Don't have a wing that's wider than your car that you can hit a chase driver in the face with.
Yeah, track safety 101. Don't have brakes like the Stagia has at the moment.
Tail whip.
Because no, they are a little bit
grabby.
Warped. No, I've got warped front discs.
Oh mate, that's just exciting. That wakes you up.
That does not.
It's well good. That's how I used to wake up in the mornings in the Passat. First time you come heavy on the brakes and whoa!
It's not fun. But the Passat and the Stagia are two different kind of estates, Bryn.
Yeah.
It's not fun in the Stagia, partly because of how much discs cost for the Stagia.
I mean, if we're talking about track safety, make sure your brakes work.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. Make sure you've got brake pads in them.
And be prepared to take a spare set of fronts.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, you'll turn up to the day on the pads. If it's your first track day, you've probably had them in your car for a while. And by about lunchtime, you'll realize that was not enough brake pad.
Yeah. On a regular track day, the easiest way to think about it is brake discs, not necessarily discs, but pads become consumables.
Yeah.
You will use a full set of pads in a day.
If
you're braking properly.
All the time.
If you're going sideways, you're not touching the brakes, so you don't use any pads.
Yeah.
You've got those handbrakey boys. You touch them all the time.
No, we don't touch that. Stay away.
And even if you do, it's for a second at the most.
Yeah.
Unless you're a BDC driver.
Or if you drive any kind of BMW.
Yes. Lock, stops, and
Are
hydro.
you saying that people who drive BMWs like playing with long, hard sticks, Brent?
Yes.
All I'm saying is people who drive with BMWs have much larger left biceps than rights.
So
And
they're, a
most of the
fan,
time
they're a
they're-
fan of the stranger maneuver then.
Most of them are right-handed. And a lot of them can only turn right. They can't,
Without their indicators on, crucially.
Yeah. You put them on a left-hand turn and they go, I don't know how to drift this.
Yeah, right. So that's...
Is that why they all crash on the big corner at Putt?
Do you know what? You sussed it, Matt. This roundabout's wrong. Why is it... And crash. I have a point about safety.
Okay.
It's not really a big thing for newer cars like your Fiestas and Focus or whatever. But if you're on an older car that you've modified a bit, make sure you check your nuts and bolts are tight.
Why? What fell off?
In my car with the Destroyer kit, I don't know if it's that fault or my fault, but I've had 5 or 6 times where I've gone and this bolt's loose, and it's like finger tight.
What I
Control
love
arms.
is at the beginning of season 1, we were like, no, we're not going to name the problem knuckle kit at all.
No, I've now gained a mass. Like, I was really annoyed because it took ages to come. It's probably COVID's fault, but I'm blaming them. And then I had a few issues fitting them, and now I've got them, and they're really good. And they saved me without having to break any parts when a chaser decided to fight me.
Fair enough.
It spun in front of me. We had a little bump, and the only damage to my car was the front camber arm. It just gone to full. It went to full negative camber because all of the pressure was taken out of everything else, so nothing broke. Just undo it, put it back, job done.
Okay.
So it protected me from having to like tie rods, inner tie rods, and things like that.
That's good.
Will
That's good.
we?
Right. So check your bolts. Helmet.
Yeah, check they're tight.
Helmet.
When you've checked your brake pads, make sure your wheel nuts are torqued up.
Yeah. Do that.
Because I've seen multiple wheels fall off on drift days.
For various
I've seen
reasons.
studs snap, but I've also seen wheels where nuts have just come undone.
Yeah.
Fire safety is important. Have an extinguisher.
Yeah, I'd say extinguisher minimum, but if you can get fireproof
If you can get
stuff.
a fireproof gimp suit, do it.
One other thing is drive within your limit, because you won't need any of the protection stuff if you're not crashing. If you're going right, it's the first session out. I've never been to this track. I'll probably brake
Yeah,
a little bit earlier.
Work your way up to full speed.
I'll follow this guy. He seems to know what he's doing, or I chatted to him in the pits before.
Contrary to that opinion, push hard, learn where the limit is.
Yeah, but you learn where the limit is by creeping up to the limit.
Nah, you learn
Don't
where
just
the limit
you
is by
don't just run
finding
up to a
it.
dog and go.
I do, but
Another kind of aspect of track safety that you might not think about, but I think is probably important to cover, is look after other people. Make sure your car is not going to injure somebody else. This is more for drifting because it's more likely you're going to crash into somebody else than any other kind of track event. Bash bars, make sure they're not pointy at the end. Roll them in a little bit. Tow bars, if you have towed like a trailer or something with your car, take them the fuck off. I don't care what Three Sisters said about it being okay. That tow bar nearly killed someone. Don't give a shit what anybody said. I spoke to the guy. It finished, came through his door, literally 2 inches away from the guy's rib cage. Take your fucking tow bars off. Take them off.
That is a perfectly valid point. Don't do shit that's going to injure somebody else. Like,
we'll come back to that, Bryn, at the end of the video.
Also, just check your car for just general leaks, because if you drop oil on track and then somebody else hits it, they're not going to have a fun time, and that's on you.
They are going to have a very bad time. Yeah. I think realistically, I think starting to think about rounding things off. The key points are: be safe in your person. So helmet, booties if you want them.
I would do your personal protection first, because you are not replaceable. The car is.
Yeah.
I mean, you're replaceable, Matt, but...
I mean, you can replace me, but...
I'm joking.
I've tried to find... Don't worry, Milton. I tried to find another host between the seasons, and we couldn't find anyone quite as good as Matt.
Yeah, also, nobody else can put up with Milton.
I would also like to caveat what Matt said about you not being replaceable, but the car is, and remind everyone that there are just about 8 billion people on this planet, but how many MX-5s are there? Think about that. You're all expendable.
All right, Bryn. One more point that Bryn is the next Hitler.
I make absolutely no attempt to cover up the fact that I would happily kill all of you if I could.
Thanks.
Right, so yeah, helmets, gloves, fire suits. Like, if it's your first ever track day, you don't necessarily need fire suits, but get your own helmet, because there is nothing worse than the loner helmet.
The loner helmet.
That a fat hasn't worn a helmet sock in.
Yeah, and they dragged it out the storage cupboard at the bottom of the unit.
We've all
It
been
still
go-karting
drips. It still drips a little bit.
No, they left it upside down. They pour it out, give it a little shake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've all had that loner helmet from go-kart.
Give yourselves a wet wipe and off you go.
Yeah. And then so yeah, don't use a loner helmet. If you think if you're getting into enough track days, get a helmet. First bit of kit to get. Boots, gloves, fireproof suits, that all comes later on. Harnesses, bucket seats, roll cages, half cages. Don't die upside down bars. They're probably next on the list. When you're going, general maintenance of your car, check your brakes, check all the oil levels, check that the brake fluid's not just on the margin of being at the low, because that's always a fun game when your brake light comes
Make
on.
sure it's not old and full of water as well.
Yeah.
And you don't want it all the way full to the brim, because when it heats up, it will overflow.
And if you're involved in any race series at all, when you get that far down the path, make sure you read the regs and learn what you need to do.
Because then you can also read what you can get away with.
Yeah, because safety adds weight. It's the one kind of thing we put in our builds where we're normally trying to add weight. Not deliberately add the weight, but what can we save? What can we do to make it safe but make it fun? Yeah, that's all of it. So season 2, not season 1.
Season 2 now.
Season 2.
That's not everything. There's more than that.
All right.
Oh, there's way more than that, but we'd be here all night.
Know when to
Fire
give up.
away.
Know when to give up. If you've got your little fire extinguisher and your car's on fire, pop the bonnet. Maybe think about popping the bonnet, because sometimes the fire can come out pretty aggressively.
Yeah, I was going to say, the other thing is if you put the bonnet and feed more oxygen to your fire, it may just get twice as big.
But spray your fire extinguisher, and if that doesn't work, leave.
Give up.
Leave the area. Don't stay in the car. Don't grab your stuff. Car fires get bad real fast.
So what we're actually saying is, when it comes to track safety, don't do anything that's going to make you die.
Yeah,
pretty
don't
much.
do that. And off the back of that, take some food and drink with you, because there's nothing worse than getting to the last session of the day, getting brain fade because you've not been drinking and you're dehydrated, and then having a crash. Again, know when to give up. There came a point for me where I realized when you get to near the end of your drift day and you think, I'm getting kind of tired, maybe I'll do one more session. That's the point at which you don't do one more session.
Yeah, I've lost count of how many times I'll do one more run. That one more run is when you have an incident.
Well, my biggest example of that was the first and only time I ever went to Buxton. So the day started wet. which was great because I'd never been to an oval track with walls before. And it started drying out, and about 2 hours before the end of the day, it was pretty much fully dry. I'd hit the wall twice, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stop, because I'm guaranteed if I'd carried on pushing, I'd have hit the wall hard and written the car off. It's like you've just got to use a little bit of common sense at
There's
some
always
point.
another track day to.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're at Buxton. When you think I'm going to take my 3 more laps, just stop then.
Yeah.
And on the food point, Three Sisters has quite a nice cafe.
Yeah.
They have a very good cafe.
Yeah.
And stop just before lunchtime. So
You
you can
don't
get
get stuck in the queue. And if you're a larger gentleman like myself, you can eat all the food before everyone else gets to it.
You get seconds, yeah.
And always pack an emergency can of Monster for the drive home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Other
Other energy drinks
are available.
but don't taste as good.
Yeah.
I actually know. Have you tried the Command energy drink powder?
I've tried many things, and none of them are as good as plain vanilla Monster.
Oh.
And by vanilla, I mean the green one.
The green one.
It's got no vanilla in it.
No, vanilla is in the plain normal one.
It's got pea from the 3-eyed fish.
Well, he pees good.
Well, if Monster want to provide us with some money, then maybe we'll say that there aren't other energy drinks available in that case.
Well, we've just done one better. We've said that there are, and they're not as good. Like, that is a better advert.
Red Bull, if you want to change
Yeah,
Brent's mind.
if you want to pay twice as much for half as much drink that tastes like shit.
Let
sure.
me
Don't-
finish.
If Red Bull want to sponsor us, I'm open to that, but they have to bring back that really good lemon lime edition that has disappeared since. That was the shit. And
Oh,
you
well, they did
guys
the
are wrong.
3 colours, yeah.
Right,
Yeah, the silver
Yeah.
one was the boy.
Right, so done. Red Bull, if you want us to change our minds about Monster, bring back that flavour what Bryn wants, and cut us a cheque for £500,000.
And fire Max Verstappen.
Don't fire Max Verstappen. Keep him. Pay him more money.
That's a tangent. So,
All the boys disagree with me on this, which just proves that I'm right.
wrong. Mate, what do people need to do, Bam?
They need to do a like. They need to do a subscribe. They need to go to the website and buy some shit.
Buy
Coming
a
up,
toe hook for when you crash.
buy a tow hook from Bryn.
Also available in Stealth Crash.
So, drop it. Speaking of stealth, dropping this year is the full Violent Running Stealth Collection, which nobody has any of yet. It's black embroidery on black. It's nice.
That's cool.
I like a bit of that.
It's very nice.
Can you do them in curtains?
What? You want me to make you some curtains?
I would like some black on black curtains for my bus.
We probably can, yes.
We'll get to that.
We have got another unboxing video coming up from Soft 99. We have got Matt's build videos that I still haven't edited coming up.
Yeah, which will be followed by some spicy RX-8 goodness.
We'll have another car by the time they're edited.
He won't have another car. We will be, by the time they are edited, we will be at Matt's house recording a podcast together the night before or the night after we've done a whole boatload of work, and stripping parts out of one car to go into another car, because apparently you can't just drive the one car that's got the working engine.
That would be boring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And efficient.
And you wouldn't have any content.
This is valid. So anyway, don't forget, like to subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. We're fully endorsed by Milton. We're sponsoring him for another season. There will be some news coming up through the course of this season, Shooting the Shift. We are going to be having the boys from Lowrider UK on, so Bryn can get all excited about Poppy Boys and Wheels and Mexican VIP life. We will be having Formula G's new owner come on with us. We've got that lined up. We're going to do another mental health part 2 with a way to raise some money for Mind. We've not quite settled on with the guys at Mind. What else we've got on the list? We've got drag racing. Apparently Milton's going to wear a dress for that episode.
Absolutely not.
And we've got a whole load of stuff about geometry that Bryn's probably going to talk us through because I don't know nothing about science.
Alignment 101.
Alignment 101 with Bryn in his lab coat.
Alignment for dummies.
I'll get my protractors and my slightly bent toe plates out.
You wheels need to go pointy pointy, not bendy bendy.
But anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We are back. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time now. But in the weeks where we're not here, other content will appear. Like that. Hope you liked the new shorter intro. A load of you are leaving during that. And still, 60% of you aren't subscribed. What are you doing? How are you going to help it? We're little. We're tiny. Just hit the subscribe button. Watch a few episodes.
If you subscribe to you can subscribe to us.
Catch you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.